My friends, I'm sure we're all rejoicing as an aftermath of the visit of Pope Francis to the United States. I think it was an extraordinary success. Whenever you have secular morning talk shows talking about, for example, quote, "I'm not Catholic, but the visit of Pope Francis has made me a better person," end quote, then you're talking about a real gift. I think Pope Francis's humility and simplicity opened the heart of this country in a special way to the Catholic Church. As many people said, it's a great time to be Catholic, and I think the Holy Father gave us a new opening. And I would say this, remember, if his goal is the goal of the mercy of Jesus, which it is, unquestionably, he's going to push the doors of the church as open as possible, even if there's a little pressure on the hinges at times, to let people receive the mercy of Jesus. His call is to bring the good news in a way that can be received by the greatest number to the church and enter them into the fullness by means of mercy, the fullness of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. So I think it's a great success, and I think we're still seeing the fruits of it, and God willing, there'll be a deeper entry into the fullness of Catholic faith. Now, I also want to make a quick comment. Members of the international Catholic community have asked me to make a quick comment on a series of alleged locutions. Now, I'm not going to get into this too much, but I want to encourage you to use caution. Use the discernment principles of the Church whenever you're seeking to discern an alleged locution. Now, a locution are words spoken, locutus est in Latin, words spoken. It's sometimes very difficult to discern a locution without knowing who the locution is from, some of the surrounding elements about the character of the person offering these locutions. That's why the discernment of the Church is so key to examining these things. So, what are the norms of the Church in terms of examining any private revelation? Number one, the message content has to be one with the faith and moral teachings of the Catholic Church. Number two, the phenomena, the external events, whether it be ecstasy or in some formation, things that are appropriate for an alleged locution, that they would represent that which is already in the mystical tradition of the Church. Something, again, very hard to do if you're just talking about alleged locutions on the internet without any background of the individual. Number three, the spiritual fruits. Does the message lead to greater peace, greater holiness, greater joy? Those are all gifts of the Spirit that accompany an authentic message. Now, I would say this, my friends, whenever you have a purported message that makes a series of concrete predictions and they systematically don't take place, that should be enough. That should be enough to give an indication that these are not of God. Why? Because Our Lady, nor does Jesus in messages, make concrete, specific predictions and repeatedly get it wrong. And I think you'll find in general, authentic messages of Our Lady don't sound like an economist, don't sound like a anchor for the nightly news with all the details of geopolitical actions. Take, for example, the message of Our Lady at Fatima, the July 13th, 1917 message. Does it talk about some concrete things? Yes, the possibility of a second world war if we don't convert. Does it talk about all the peripheral details regarding that and get very specific? No, over-specification is an indication of a lack of authenticity. So I would say, especially when you are talking about an alleged message that makes a series of predictions which don't happen, I would say be at peace that this is not of God. One could say, well, there's other things that are positive in it. Well, certainly. The world knows about the message of Fatima and the importance of that. One doesn't have to be receiving alleged messages to know that we are in a state of economic challenge right now. The economic commentators of the world are telling us that, and that we're in a position of particular geopolitical difficulties in the Middle East. That we all know. So once again, be careful, because sometimes when a prediction is made and doesn't happen, the thing that stimulates the people to continue on, even though common sense would say that's time to back off, is another prediction, the next prediction. So I would say be at peace in terms of what we have with the teachings of the Church, what we have with approved messages. Can we also discern messages that are not approved by the Church? Well, the Church says yes, but do it with the Church. And I would say if there's indications, again, of predictions that take place that don't happen, I would encourage backing off entirely. And I would also encourage anyone who believes they're getting locutions to submit it to the local authority. That's what obedience calls us to do. Submit it to the church. Our Lady never circumvents the church. She will never say, I'm giving you this message because I can't rely on the church anymore. That's not Mary, Mother of the Church. That's not Our Lady. So, once again, let's rejoice in the victory of Pope Francis for the United States, and let's have a proper caution and warning regarding alleged messages which don't, which would not meet up with the qualifications the Church gives. And again, I think the best reference is encouraging anyone who thinks they're getting locutions to submit it to the Church. That's the obedience of people like Padre Pio and St. Faustina in terms of submitting themselves to the Church, and that brings the greatest peace and the greatest fruitfulness in the long run. Thanks for being with us. God bless.